All right, Ilka, Fabrice, thank you very much for taking your time here in Brussels at a very special event, launching the document, I would say, a battery deal for Europe. And I read through it and I find it very inspiring because it covers the whole aspect on building this European battery ecosystem, which is also the agenda of the battery expedition. That's the project I'm on right now, traveling through Europe. And I want to first understand what motivated both of your organization, Recharge as well as BEPA, to come up with this proposal.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you, Simon, as well. And well, looking at the what has happened recently in the battery industry, we have seen a lot of projects being scaled down, delayed. We know that the global competition is fierce, but also internal problems in Europe that has led to, I think, dialing back all our efforts concerning support for the battery industry has brought us to this decision really to take this holistic approach to reinvigorate the discussion and continued sustained support for the battery ecosystem, as you said, not only for the upcoming MFF, but also really to think about what is Europe's joint vision? Do we really want to have a battery industry, and what does it take to build it in this perspective?
Yeah. For elaboration, really quick, what is MFF? So
it's the multi-annual financial framework, which is a smart language to say budget.
Okay, great. Yeah, for all those who are not familiar with those abbreviations.
Yeah, it's true. You're fully right.
Okay, so what is the scope of this deal? What are you proposing there?
So this is a battery deal. It's not the battery deal, because we believe that we kick this process by trying to analyze the problems that we believe are existing in the value chain today. And next to the problems that we have grouping on scope, scale, speed, and sustainability, we try to provide, as Ilka was saying, a holistic vision as to what is the toolbox that is needed to go forward. And the toolbox, of course, is something Ilka can talk about.
So what is the toolbox? I think there you're talking about the pillars, right?
Yes.
But maybe before we come to that, what are the principles behind this? Because the document quite nicely lays out the different perspectives that you want to take in addressing this. If you may put one or two more sentences.
Yes. So we try to simplify by calling them the 4S, which is, sometimes you need to have something catchy. We see that wherever you are in the battery value chain, you can have a certain kind of problems. There's problems related to the scope of your operations, the scope of your technologies, the scope of your investments. You are too narrow and you may fail. You are too broad and you may dilute your resources. So there's something related to the scope. There's something related to the scale of the investments and the lack of profitability. You know that this is a very capital-intensive business to be in, whether you make materials, battery cell or recycling, or the application. So this is the scale one. And then there is something about speed. It's important to be fast on the board, especially if you compare yourself with the Asian competition that we have. And then the last one is on sustainability. We always say that in Europe, we want to do things in a sustainable and circular way. But the question is always, how fast are you going to be sustainable, and is it sometimes something helping you or something potentially hurting you? How do you dose the right amount of sustainability? So these are the 4S, the 4 types of problems on which you make then a toolbox.
Yeah, especially the sustainability thing is a chance for Europe to play out its uniqueness as an ecosystem, also with the sustainability in mind and the identity. But also a cost driver for the sell price later on, which is a burden on establishing this industry at the moment, right? So, Ilka, what is the toolbox Fabrice just mentioned?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out on the sustainability. It's what we sometimes forget. It's not only about the ecological sustainability or environmental sustainability. It's also about the economical sustainability that we need to consider for our business. And this dimension sometimes, I think, gets a little bit lost in discussions about the environmental sustainability. I think we had the hope that Europe would be competitive on sustainability, not only cost alone, but looking at where we stand now, I think it's very urgent that we need also to talk about economic sustainability for our industry. And looking at the 4 pillars, that we are presenting in our battery deal, it really starts all with innovation, which is really the foundation where we should build on. It's training the skills that we need to develop, new technologies to bring our industry forward. But then we also, and I think that has been lacking so far in the toolbox of Europe, support for the industrialization. So this is really the pillar produce in Europe, really looking at what can we do to support industry once they leave the point beyond research and innovation, so to say, to scale up, because it's still a nascent or infant industry. Thirdly, we also need to look at the market. We have been hearing a lot that the demand for EVs is stalling in Europe, especially for products also developed in Europe. So this is a little bit more, how can we help to develop a market for European produced products along the battery value chain. So this is the pillar Buy European. And finally, the last pillar is that it's called Secure. The European industry is really, as I mentioned, it's a young industry that is under fierce global competition right now. And there we think we need a little bit more, I wouldn't call it protectionist measures, but really, I think, incentives on how we can scale this still young industry in this global competition. So a little bit leveling the playing field, but not shutting the door to global competition. This is very important, that we will still need a lot of diversification, especially for our supply chain. So it's cooperation, but support also our domestic industry.
Okay, so to be able to, as you propose in the report, lead, not follow, what are the concrete measures needing to be taken? Also in terms of financial measures, what do you propose to the political decision makers on the budget? I also read in the report, I like the statement very much, that you suggest to tie it to production outcome, support tailored to actual outcome and power put into the forthcoming. But maybe you can give us a rough estimation of where we are heading with this. Like, what is needed from governments in order to make this happen?
So 4S, 4 pillars.
Yeah.
I do not know, I did not calculate how many recommendations we made, but for each pillar there are a set of recommendations.
Yeah, they're on the back of the report.
They're on the back of the report, for those who read until the end. The idea is that we will provide this document to the member states and to the European Commission, because depending on where you are at the European Commission, you may be more in a position to help on innovation, or to help on Buy European, or to help on production. So basically, this is more like a menu of recommendations that we are asking the member states and the European Commission to simply embrace, I would say, and to try to put in place whatever they can do. We are not expecting the Commission to be able to deliver on all of these things, but we believe that if at least a few would be taken, and then maybe another few, and then another few, we can make a difference. So this is a long list of recommendations that we are asking the policymakers to choose from. And some of them have a budgetary implication. They cost money, because this is no cheap lunch. And some of them actually do not have necessarily a budgetary implication. So they are not costing money. They're just requiring some effective and efficient policy making.
Since the battery expedition as such is also solution oriented, because I'm trying to show off competences that we have in Europe, right? If you should select from this list of potential that is out there, that measures that can be taken quite easily, quite directly and soon, because this also has a timely component. We cannot wait too long, right? What would you say? Like, what is the potential that we can leverage?
I think here it's both, as we say, a sprint and a marathon that is needed, really. In terms of short-term measures, we have some very promising cell production projects in Europe that we really now need to push over the finish line to become competitive. So for that we need, I would say, we heard a lot about the battery booster, some financial support mechanism to really support those ongoing projects. But then we also have to make up our mind, where do we want to be in 2035 and 2040? How much do we really are serious about establishing a domestic battery ecosystem. And then it's not only longer about the cell production alone, it's about the entire value chain from raw material production, refining, the machinery and equipment, which is very, I think, still one of the European strongholds that we could develop. But and then all the way to recycling. But we need to connect really the dots on how we bring all those actors together and also all the decision makers. And this is really, I think, one of the purposes of the battery deal is to push or the battery topic on top of decision makers' minds. Because sometimes those actions are quite dispersed. If you're looking at demand development for stationary storage, it's a quite different decision that you need to take. And sometimes you forget, okay, if I want to incentivize stationary storage, but maybe then I can formulate my policies that is actually supporting European-produced batteries in the grid, because this is a critical infrastructure. Yes. So this is all the time that we need to kind of push the battery, European battery topic on top of the agenda.
You want to add something, Fabrice?
I don't know if I can add a lot. Just what I wanted to say is that we try to be as comprehensive as we could, but we are not claiming that we are covering everything. So, as I said, this is a battery deal. That means that if industry or others come up with things that we believe we have forgotten or new ideas, of course, we are fully open to embrace these ideas and to move towards other versions. Because the idea is to deliver impact. It's not having a biblical document that is somewhere on the shelf of someone. It is there to help. And in that respect, I would say it's also up to the industry to help us help them. So if they can continue by following, pushing the pledge to other companies to sign, coming with us to the meetings, this is really what we want to do. We want to deliver impact.
Yeah. So, got it. And now the question is that I ask every participant, every guest of this campaign, from your personal perspective, with your professional view, what is your call to action? If you would give one advice to all stakeholders in our field, what would you give? Each one sentence.
You have an answer ready?
Maybe not, but I would say talk to each other and connect, because this is really the battery deal. What we want to provide is this framework, this holistic approach. But for this, we need the industry to talk together, to network and find synergies, but also decision makers. This cannot be developed in silos. It's not only the responsibility of one directorate or one commissioner or one member state, really. This is a question for Europe if we want to have the strategic industry. So I think this is also very much in line with your expedition. Talk to each other, network, together we can make this happen.
Fabrice, you want to add something?
Open up, collaborate. I think it's easy when you are in difficult situation to only look at your part of the value chain, but this is something that we want to build above just one part of the value chain. So connect with each other for the industry, and when it comes to the Commission, this is also a message, work with each other out of the silos, and we believe that this is something we can try to push.
All right, let's work on this together, I suggest, and thank you for the conversation.